In this video, we will be taking a look at the O-Train East Extension, adding 5 new stations all the way to Trim in Orléans. Trim Station. The eastern terminus Trim Station is the first one we'll be taking a look at today. As with all the stations on the east, they are found in the median of the Highway 174. Trim is attached to its park and ride via an overhead pedestrian walkway that's enclosed, leading people from the park and ride and the bus platforms to the train station in the median. For a closer look at Trim Station, we invite you to take a look at our Trim walkthrough that we filmed last June during Doors Open Ottawa. You can see from here the entrance building, the pedestrian crossing that crosses over to the train platforms. And here we can see how the tracks come to a very sudden end, right at the intersection of the 174 and Trim Road. Definitely room to probably store trains here beyond the platforms themselves. And a lot of people ask, is there a connection going to the north side of the highway? The answer currently is no. However, pillars are already in place for that eventuality to be built one day in the future. By having them in place now, it definitely removes the risk of having to shut down the system and the station for a lengthy construction period. And looking just off to the side from the station itself, you can see the traction power substation that converts the local electrical supply to the 1500 volts necessary to run the overhead catenary system that powers the trains. As we take one final look at Trim Station before heading off to the next ones heading west. Now typically the next one would be Place d'Orléans in our video, but we're going to take a look at the possible infill stations that could see the light of day at some point in the future should the East Extension be expanded further. 2 locations are envisioned by the city as possibilities, one of them at 10th Line Road here, just near the overpass. And this station would definitely be a big plus for people in this area of Orléans because there is quite a few kilometers gap between Place d'Orléans and Trim Road. So even for buses, they definitely have to loop around quite a bit just to get to one of the stations. So having a station pretty much in the middle between both would definitely be a nice addition. And this station would serve people living up in Fallingbrook, up the hill, the new ever-expanding housing developments just bordering the highway and St. Joseph Boulevard, as well as those living down towards the river on the north side of the highway off of Jeanne d'Arc. And the station wouldn't be necessarily right at the overpass, it would be offset a little bit from the overpass and provide another connection to be able to cross over the highway. As we continue looking farther west, the next infill station would be at the Orléans Town Center. And this station, again being found in the median of the highway, would have pedestrian crossing to create the access to reach the station itself. Again, lots of activity in this area, housing on both sides, as well as hotels, the Shankman Arts Center, and a lot of festivals that happen in this general area. Now departing the possible future Orléans Town Center station, we're now going to take a look at our next stop, which is actually one of my favorites on the whole O-Train system. Next station, Place d'Orléans. Prochaine station, Place d'Orléans. And this station is really expansive, the major bus transfer point for most of the bus routes in Orléans. You can see the connections coming from the park and ride and its sizable parking lot, accessing the train platforms in the middle and the trench, and then the pedestrian crossing, so the existing legacy red crossing that goes from the park and ride to the train station carries on to the bus station itself on the opposite side, and beyond that into the Place d'Orléans shopping center itself. So from this angle you can see the train platforms down in the highway trench in the median, the entrance on the left side from Champlain, and the overhead connection from the pedestrian crossings. and it really drops down quite deep from the upper level, which is actually quite interesting. The stairs are really expansive, and because of the height difference, there's even an escalator that goes from the platforms all the way up to the pedestrian entrance and crossing above. And then looking again towards the Champlain entrance itself. Now we're looking at the bus loop of Place d'Orléans Station. You can see the pedestrian crossings. Red one again is the Legacy crossing that has a fare gate to reach the train platforms. And the new white covered one is a fare paid zone between the bus station and the trains. And now, of course, if you frequent the mall, you know a lot of people will take the sidewalk and walk on the ground level, on the surface by the street to reach the bus station. So there's now a new entrance kiosk with fare gates to create a fare paid zone for the whole station. That's that new glass building right adjacent to the parking itself, leading up to the bus and the eventual connection to the trains. One final look here, the park and ride, the Champlain entrance, the pedestrian crossings. Definitely the east station with the most possible entrances reaching the trains. It's quite impressive. And of course, we'll take one final look here. Beyond the station is the traction power substation, once again, providing the voltage necessary to operate the trains and the stations and the guideway itself. It's just located off to the side from the 174 eastbound off-ramp. Trains depart from Place d'Orléans, heading farther west, probably reaching speeds of 80 kilometers per hour, maybe higher, to reach the next station down the line. Next station, Convent Glen. Convent Glen Station, located just on the Orléans Boulevard overpass. Access is on both sides of the overpass, coming from the north and the south. And really a nice station. Again, I know I say it a lot, but it's really going to provide great connections, rapid transit for people in Convent Glen and the surrounding areas that did not have rapid transit right to their doorstep like this. That was pretty much lacking because, as you can see, this highway overpass does not have on-ramps or off-ramps. So people would either have to take buses that would loop out to Place d'Orléans or to Jeanne d'Arc. Definitely going to be a big boom for this area. You can see the expansive station, and of course, the traction power substation that's located really close to the westbound lanes of the 174. Just has a bit of an exit of its own. A little Formula One style pit stop to access it and to regain access to the highway. As we continue on to our next station, our next stop, located at Jeanne d'Arc. Also very expansive and replacing the old bus transitway stops on both sides of the highway. Next station, Jeanne d'Arc. And looking at the station here, you can see pretty much it's the same layout, same design for the most part as Convent Glen. Access is on both sides of the overpass. There is a center partition or fence in the middle of Jeanne d'Arc to prevent people from just darting or running across this busy road, this 2-lane road that has a lot of traffic on it. You can see the entrances, the plaza areas outside of the entrances, bus stops on both sides. Definitely going to be a really interesting station as well. Going to replace the on and off ramp stops from the old Legacy bus service, now being replaced by the trains. Looking up now from the Bob McQuarrie Recreation Center, you can see the station, the homes right on the other side of the highway. And now looking down at the platforms. Those plaza areas that are really big on the top, so definitely a lot of room for people waiting for bus connections. They did a really good job here redeveloping this area, redesigning the highway on and off ramps. There's actually a decent amount of bike parking and good room here for the bus stops to pick up and drop off passengers. The sidewalks have also been expanded in many cases, definitely wider, more roomy to accommodate the higher flow of passengers coming through this area. And once again, the local traction power substation for this station. As we continue on from Jeanne d'Arc, we will regain high speeds leading out of the station, heading off into the distance towards Greens Creek and Montreal Road. You can see it goes on a long stretch before engaging the big curve here overlooking Greens Creek and the famous Toboggan Hill, before reaching next station, Montreal. And this station again in the highway median, but contrary to the previous ones, access is provided from underneath the overpass on both sides, bus platforms down underneath, and then a short walk up the stairs or through the elevators and you'll reach the platforms above. We did do a walkthrough of the station last year, so we definitely invite you to check that out on the YouTube channel. And then from here you can really see there's a lot of light that makes its way onto the platform. There's glass, canopy above, glass work around the stairwells and the elevators. It's really a very inviting station, which is surprising because it's right in the middle of the highway and the cars go actually fairly close. But the side curtain walls or the sound isolation walls really do a good job at dampening the road noise coming from the highway itself. So one final look here, you can barely see the entrances underneath on both sides. Coming up from elevators, stairs, you'll reach the platforms above. And it's really a nice station, really one that's going to be interesting to experience and to visit and to make use of in this area, just because of how bright and airy it feels. It's really nice. And the last traction power substation of the East Extension right here, just off to the side of the station and the highway. Of course, looking on the opposite angle now towards Canatech, so the industrial park and commercial area just off the side of the highway, as the trains once again engage the guideway heading off towards Blair Station, which is the current eastern terminus. So trains now are going to hit once again a high speed until they reach the Rail Flyover here, where they will rise up from being at grade with the highway to cross over the westbound 174 lanes and then drop back down off to the side. And as they run along the side, they're going to pass by the new Eastern Ottawa Costco and its parking lot. And just along this area, there is also a pocket track. And this pocket track will allow for trains to be able to be parked, stored, or staged should the service need to be ramped up or ramped down. It's a good point to be able to inject and take off trains from the line without having to do any fancy operational juggling of train spacing and whatnot. So you can see the third track in the middle here, the switches that lead in and out of it from both ends. The tracks then pass underneath the westbound off-ramp for Blair, and then pass underneath Blair Road itself to line up with the station of the same name and access the rest of the existing O Train Line 1. Next station, Blair, with continuing westbound service to Tunney's Pasture. So we're definitely keeping our eyes on this Eastern Extension trial running, and the lead up to it should be starting hopefully in the next couple weeks or next month or so, as we head towards the eventual opening of this new expansion, over 12 kilometers, 5 new stations to expand service into Orléans.